My parents sold their house and gave $650,000 to my brother, leaving me with absolutely nothing. Then they tried to invade my home, demanding I give up my space for them. Can you believe the audacity? Tell me, would you have stood your ground like I did, or would you have caved under the pressure? Because what happened next still has me reeling, and I honestly wonder if I handled it all correctly, even now. It's a story that starts with a normal family, or what I thought was a normal family, and quickly descends into a level of betrayal and entitlement I never imagined possible. Let me take you back to the beginning, before the chaos, before the massive sum of money, and before my home became the battleground. I grew up in a fairly typical suburban household. My parents, bless their hearts, always preached about fairness and equality between my older brother, Mark, and me. We weren't rich, but we weren't struggling either. Our house, a modest 3-bedroom with a decent backyard, was always filled with the usual family squabbles and laughter. Mark was always the golden child, in subtle ways. He was a year older than me, charming, a bit reckless, and always seemed to get what he wanted with a smile and a shrug. I, on the other hand, was more of the studious, quiet type, always making sure to follow the rules, always trying to earn my parents' approval, which felt like a constantly moving target. I didn't resent Mark for it, not really. That's just how families are sometimes, right? There's always one who shines a little brighter in the parents' eyes. I figured as long as we were all loved, it didn't really matter. Years passed, we both went off to college. I worked my tail off, got a scholarship, took out minimal loans, and eventually landed a stable job in tech. I meticulously saved every penny, knowing that homeownership was my ultimate goal. It was a dream I'd harbored since I was a kid, a place of my own, a sanctuary. Mark, however, had a different approach to life. He dabbled in various entrepreneurial ventures, none of which ever really took off. He'd start a business, burn through some cash, and then move on to the next big idea. My parents, ever supportive of his vision, would often lend him money, sometimes significant amounts, which he rarely repaid. I watched all this from the sidelines, occasionally offering Mark advice he never took, or gently suggesting to my parents that maybe, just maybe, they were enabling him. My concerns were always brushed aside with phrases like, "He'll find his footing," or "he just needs a little more time." Fast forward to about 2 years ago. I had finally achieved my dream. After years of stringent saving and careful planning, I bought my own house. It wasn't huge, but it was perfect for me. A charming 2-bedroom bungalow with a small garden, located in a quiet, up-and-coming neighborhood. I poured my heart and soul into making it a home, decorating, renovating, truly making it mine. My parents came to visit, expressed their congratulations, and I genuinely thought they were happy for me. Mark, of course, hadn't visited, citing being too busy with his latest venture. I wasn't surprised. Then came the bombshell. My parents called a family meeting. I remember it vividly. We sat in their living room, the same room where we'd celebrated holidays, and argued over board games. They looked serious, almost solemn. My dad cleared his throat and announced, "We've decided to sell the house." My heart dropped a little. This house, their home for over 30 years, held so many memories. But I understood. They were getting older. Perhaps they wanted to downsize, travel, enjoy their retirement. "And we've decided what we're going to do with the proceeds," my mom added, her voice a little too cheerful. My brother, Mark, was practically beaming beside them. That's when I knew something was off. "We're giving the entire sum, all $650,000, to Mark. My dad declared, looking directly at me, as if expecting my applause. The air left my lungs. $650,000. To Mark, the one who had never really held a stable job, who had burned through their money for years. And me, the one who had worked, saved, and bought my own home without a single cent of their help. Nothing. Not a word about me, not a penny. My mind raced. Was this a joke? Was there a caveat I was missing? But no, their faces were serious, almost proud. Mark, true to form, just smiled smugly. I tried to keep my voice even, but I could feel the tremor in it. "What about me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. My mom looked genuinely surprised, as if the thought had never crossed her mind. "Well, you don't need anything, dear," she said, as if stating the most obvious fact in the world. "You've always been so responsible. You have a great job, you bought your own house. Mark, he needs a leg up. He's going to use this money to finally start his dream business, a real estate development company." My dad nodded enthusiastically. They truly believed this was an act of benevolence, an investment in Mark's future, a future that apparently excluded me entirely. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. The golden child narrative had just been cemented with a $650,000 check. I left that meeting in a daze, the words ringing in my ears. I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just felt a profound sense of disappointment and a chilling realization about where I truly stood in my own family. Over the next few months, Mark, predictably, didn't start a real estate empire. He bought a new car, took a lavish vacation, and made a down payment on a luxurious condo. My parents moved into a rented apartment, a much smaller place, saying they were simplifying. I kept my distance, the wound from their decision still raw. I answered their calls, but I avoided deep conversations, especially about Mark or their finances. I was hurt, yes, but also trying to process this new reality. My parents, who had always preached about fairness, had shown me a very different side of themselves. Then came the next shockwave. About 6 months after they sold their house, my parents called me, sounding distressed. "We need to talk, dear. It's important." I braced myself. I went over to their small rented apartment. They looked tired, defeated. Mark's business. It didn't work out. My mom started, wringing her hands. He invested most of the money, and it all just vanished. My dad chimed in. He made some bad decisions, sweetheart. Gambled on a few things that didn't pay off. My eyes widened. $650,000. Gone, just like that. I wanted to scream, to ask what they expected, but I held my tongue. This was their mess, not mine. "So, what does this mean?" I asked, trying to sound neutral. My dad sighed. "Well, we're struggling a bit. The rent here is high, and with Mark's situation, he can't really help us. We're thinking of moving somewhere cheaper, but it's just so difficult." Then came the truly unbelievable part. My mom looked at me with those big, hopeful eyes, the same eyes that used to ask me to clean my room. "We were thinking, darling, your house. It has 2 bedrooms, doesn't it? And you're just one person. We could move in with you. It would save us so much money, and we'd be together as a family again." I stared at them, speechless. They wanted to move in with me. After giving away their entire life savings to my brother, leaving themselves in a precarious financial situation, they now expected me to open my home, my sanctuary, to them. The audacity was truly breathtaking. All the anger, the hurt, the feeling of being overlooked and undervalued, it all bubbled to the surface. My home, the one I had worked so hard for, the one I bought without a single cent of their help, was now their emergency plan. They saw my spare bedroom not as a guest room or potential office, but as their own personal safety net, a fallback after their disastrous decision to gift Mark nearly $1 million. It wasn't a request. It felt like an expectation, an invasion. It was as if they saw my property as communal property, something they had a right to, despite having given everything they had to my brother. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, the responsible child, the one who was self-sufficient, being asked to clean up the mess of the golden child. My parents, essentially broke and looking for a place to land, decided my home was the most convenient option. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let them move in? Would you have felt obligated, or would you have drawn a firm boundary? Because in that moment, I felt a whirlwind of emotions, and the decision I made wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. I took a deep breath, trying to compose myself. My parents were looking at me expectantly, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and exhaustion. "Mom, Dad," I began, my voice firm despite the tremor in my hands, "I love you both, but that's not going to work." Their smiles faltered. "What do you mean, not going to work?" My dad asked, a hint of annoyance creeping into his tone. "It's a 2-bedroom house, sweetheart. We wouldn't be in your way." My mom added, "We just need a place to stay until we get back on our feet. It won't be forever." "No," I repeated, more forcefully this time. "It's my house. I bought it. I worked for it. I love my space, and I'm not comfortable having anyone move in with me, not permanently." I could see the hurt flash in my mom's eyes, and my dad's face hardened. "So, you're just going to abandon your own parents?" he accused, his voice rising. "After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me." I finally let the bitterness show. "You gave Mark $650,000. $650,000, Dad. I got nothing. Not a single penny of support, not a down payment, not even a loan. I did this all myself. And now, because Mark squandered it all, you expect me to sacrifice my home, my privacy, everything I've built, to bail him out. To bail you out." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken resentments. My parents were stunned into silence. They had clearly not expected me to bring up the money, to bring up Mark. They thought I would simply acquiesce, as I always had. But this was different. This was my home, my hard-won independence. "We always supported you, dear," my mom eventually said, her voice cracking. "We paid for your education, we clothed you, fed you, yes." I conceded, and I'm grateful for that. But you did the same for Mark, and then some. You gave him an inheritance that was meant for both of us, and you gave it to him outright, leaving yourselves vulnerable. That was your choice. And now, you want me to shoulder the consequences of that choice. You want me to give up my home because you gambled your future on Mark's pipe dreams. My voice was trembling, but I wouldn't back down. My dad stood up, his face red with anger. "This is unbelievable. You're being selfish. We're your parents. And you chose to prioritize Mark." I shot back. "You chose to believe in his grand schemes over your own financial security and over fairness to me. I'm not being selfish. I'm protecting what's mine. I cannot and will not have you move in." The argument escalated. They pleaded, they guilt-tripped, they accused me of being ungrateful. I stood firm. I offered to help them find a more affordable apartment, to look into senior living options, even to contribute a small amount monthly towards their rent. But I drew a hard line at them moving into my house. My home was sacred, a boundary I would not allow to be crossed. Eventually they left, slamming the door, their faces a mixture of hurt, anger, and utter disbelief. The aftermath was difficult. For weeks, they didn't speak to me. Mark, of course, called me, not to apologize for his financial ruin, but to yell at me for abandoning our parents. I calmly explained that their decisions and his had led to this, and that I was not responsible for their housing. He called me heartless, a terrible sister, and hung up. My parents eventually started calling again, but our relationship was irrevocably changed. They found a small, subsidized apartment in a different town, far from me. I sent them housewarming gifts, tried to be supportive in other ways, but the intimacy, the trust, was gone. They still bring it up sometimes, the great betrayal, as they see it. They still lament their financial situation, often hinting that if I had just helped them out, things would be different. But I don't regret my decision. My home is still my sanctuary. I learned a harsh lesson about family dynamics, about entitlement, and about the importance of setting boundaries, even with the people you love the most. I love my parents, despite everything, but I learned that their love, or at least their financial support, came with conditions for Mark, and an expectation of unconditional sacrifice from me. It was a painful realization, but an important one for my own well-being and independence. So, that's my story. It's been a wild ride, and sometimes I still wonder about the path not taken. Was I wrong for standing my ground? Was I too harsh? I honestly don't know, but I know I couldn't have given up my home. I hope you found this story engaging, and perhaps it gave you something to think about regarding family, finances, and boundaries. Like this video if you were on my side, subscribe for more stories like this, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.